Hello, today I'm here. I am meeting with Nick Nascimento. Nick, how are you?
Good. How are you, Troy? Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah. Hey, I've been following you over the last, I'd say 3-4 months. And I watch a lot of your content that you're putting out there. And we have very similar tastes in the way that you approach things. Where does that come from? What industry are you from? And where did you get your sales experience? Because your approach is more of a very friendly approach. It's a soft approach, but it's very, very effective. Where's that come from?
So I've been selling for a decade. I'm 30 years old. Prior to starting at 21, I was served a mission. So, that's the free consulting I did. So that's where it started for me. But then from there, Troy went to solar and then to pest control management and then back to solar.
Okay, so you were on a mission. Is that what you said?
Yeah, mission. Yep, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of experience there going door to door. I know that. And so that's where you sharpen that's where a lot of your skill sets come in. I see that. And then you went from solar to pest control and then back to solar?
Yeah. So worked at Aptive, then launched my own company, ProVent Pest Control, built it up, sold it in St. George, and then got back into solar part-time while coaching.
I was watching one of the things that you said a couple weeks ago, and it really hit me. You said the harder the sale, the higher dollar value of a product, and the harder the sale, you're going to lose that customer. You're going to lose it. You can't go with a hard approach. You got to be more of a softer approach. Right. You said the harder approach works on a lesser value product. And I agree with you. Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah. So the psychology is, when you're talking to somebody that has more than, $50,000, $60,000 on the line, and you apply more pressure, you're instinctively pushing them away from making a decision because in their mind, they have a set of time or, amount of things they have to go through to pull the trigger on that. Now, solar is kind of a unique situation where both, like a little bit of pressure and no pressure works. But typically, just anything that's high ticket, solar being a high ticket sale, the more you press, the more you push, the harder you try to close, you are not going to close the deal. And if you do, your attrition is going to highly increase. Now, you and I use the same verbiage. A lot of people don't understand what attrition is. Attrition, I learned attrition back in the alarm days, right? You want that number under 5%, 4%. And solar, it's a much higher number. Right. A lot of people operate in the 20s, 30s. I heard even companies operating in the 40s. That just means you're forcing a lot of sales, right? Yeah. And I love your approach. I also saw some more content that you actually go back. You tell the customer that you're going to contact them within the next 24 hours. And you said that you saw a 20% drop in your attrition rate because of that next visit, them knowing that they're going to see you, that you're not going to run away and that you're there for them. Can you kind of tell us about that? Yeah, it's just the peace of mind. I mean, think of it. You buy something from a salesperson, right? And then they're feeling confident then. But there's some thought, some intrusive thought, some ad, something that's going to hit their mind in the next 24 hours. It's very likely. And depending on the personality type, a lot of them will start doubting themselves. And it has nothing to do with it's not your fault. And so just giving them peace of mind that they're going to see you, you're not running off with their money and their signatures, helps so much, right? And it's not, you got to be careful when you're with your verbiage. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to come check up on you, right? You don't say that. You say, hey, look, we're going to send permits in. I'm going to come back to you and report to you on if we have everything we need. If not, I'll talk to you, see if I have questions. If you have questions, great. And then if there's anything else that I need, I'll get that when I'm talking to you, whether it's on the phone or if I can swing by in person.
How often when you go back, do your customers actually have more questions? Because I agree with you 100%. I am not a hard approach. I'm about making a friend. I go in there and I educate, right? Yep. I think that education is the key. Making a friend, education is them building trust in you, right? You're building that trust, you're building that relationship, and you're their solutions, and you got to get them to buy into that. What do you say the percentages where things just go smoothly because you are recontacting them?
90%, and 10% of the time they have questions. 90% of the time we're good, everything's good. Cool.
Sorry, say that.
90% they're good, 10% they have questions. And 10% of the time, if there is questions, it's resolved 9 times out of 10. Like I have not had,
and it's usually pretty something simple. Would you say?
Very simple, very simple. Yep.
Okay. So I just experienced that just recently this weekend, and I saw your content, so it reminded me of it. Where I signed up a customer, and I'm in a very saturated market. Somebody came behind me, and they're getting bombarded with all kinds of stuff through email, through direct mail, and then people knocking at the door. And so you try to solidify the sale the best you can. But now there's clickbait out there. The customer's clicking, and there's these outrageous numbers that just lowball everything. And it looks like the customer got screwed. So he's now contacting not me, but he's contacting the office because he doesn't want to talk to me now because he thinks that he overpaid. So I'm able to jump on it. I tell him, hey, this is just clickbait. If I could do that deal too. They're hiding it. It's a much smaller system. It's 40% smaller. However, because I did contact him, I was able to salvage the deal. And I think the quicker that you contact that customer, the easier it is going to be able to save it. Am I correct?
Yeah, speed is massive. Yep.
Yeah. And then I also saw, I just love your content. There was another thing that you talked about, and it was about making a friend in education in the house, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of explain what you mean by that.
Oh, yeah, I love it, Troy. So the first, I go into a deal, Troy, and I lay down the law, all right? And when I don't lay down the law, they push me around, I don't get a deal, right? And they're the one running the conversation. But with me laying down the law, I tell them right off the bat, I don't have to sell you on anything, okay? The reality is I'm here to teach you, and I'm teaching about 2 programs. One of them, Mr. Prospect, you're already enrolled in. And last time I checked, there's no payoff date, you get nothing back, and there's no asset, okay? That's not a very sexy program. The program we have is very similar but to what you're doing with payments, but you own something, kind of like going from rent to mortgage. So I set the foundation. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to teach you. I don't care if you don't do this. Cool. I've got $1,000 to $10,000 on the line. You have $50,000 to $100,000 on the line, right? And so I'm not the bigger loser. You say, Nick, pound sand. I feel sorry for them. And this is what I learned on the mission, Troy, was the selflessness, the selfless seller of thinking from their point of view. And when I think about their loss, not my loss of losing commission, woo, you sell with a lot of confidence or what,
I love that. And I heard you talk about objections, right? You said that objections are your friend. They're not your enemy. Don't avoid them. And I agree with you because that's how I sell. I bring everything up that could possibly they view as negative. And I bring it up and I put the spin on it as far as, what the value is, what the positives are. So I agree. A lot of people that come into this industry and a lot of sales reps out there, they're not selling value and they're avoiding the objection. The objection is powerful. And if you know how to handle the objection, you will always get the close. So I saw that about you. I loved it. And I could tell how experienced you are in front of people and how comfortable you are. And you believe in what you're doing. So great stuff out there. And I know I see a lot of your followers out there and I see a lot of comments and they can watch. If somebody coming into solar, if they could just watch all your video clips and watch the some of your content that's out there, it's very good. So I love it. Did you ever think about putting a university together or anything like that online?
Yes. So Excel is a non-specific, so it's just general sales training. So we have that already pre-built out, but for solar, I have not yet, no. But I do plan on doing that for solar, pest control, and maybe a few others. So
what's Nick's future? What is Nick going to do? What's your ideal journey right now? What path are you taking? Because there's a lot of different things happening in solar right now. I think solar's here to stay. And I know a lot of people are, painting this gloomy picture, but come on, future is solar, right? It really is. It's the new technology. It's the cutting edge. It's where everybody has to go. Sooner or later, everybody's going solar. I truly believe that. Where do you see your path leading? I mean, a lot of people are thinking doomsday because it's a constant battle against the utility companies. The buyback rates are dropping. Everybody's worried about the interest rates. But I think that it's going to curve and settle. What do you experience? Where are you going? And what's your future?
I agree. So I do not flee from the solar industry. Now, here's the reality: it is a red ocean, and I like blue ocean industries. Okay, so that's one. My long-term play is not solar. My long-term play is everything sales, personal development, just growing myself in health, wealth, and relationships. Those are the big three for me. I am building a sales organization for solar, might as well, right? Sparta Solar is our company. We're just out of Utah right now, and we are a dealer. So I'm intentionally not doing install for a while. But coaching and consulting is my long-term play. Equity for consult, that is the long-term play for me. And so this is a transitional thing. But everything I build and do, I want to do with people that want to scale organizations with me. And so deploying people, capital, resources to build, right? I've always been the guy who's running by myself with my pest control company and other things I've done. And right now the focus is deploying people and hiring out and bringing on the best people to work with me and build with me.
I love that. And you got the right personality for it. You're a very likable guy. It's easy to listen to you, and I like the way that you deliver your message. So I really think that there's as far as like a coaching role, if that's what you're referring to, I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I love watching your stuff myself. I'm a big fan. So
you're the man, Troy.
What to pest control and then back to solar, or is it all the same? Just bigger commissions, bigger compensation.
It was very, it was the same and different. Okay. It was interesting going, because most guys go the other way around. They go pest to solar, right? And because it's kind of an easier sale transition there, and going into solar for me, I don't care what I'm selling. And this is what I learned. This is what I'm passionate about is it doesn't matter what I'm selling. As long as I'm passionate about it, I will be able to sell it, right? Whether it's $1 or $1 million, I'll be able to sell it if I'm very passionate and sold myself. And so to the degree I'm sold, I will be able to sell. That's kind of the mantra. Okay.
Because you have a passion for it, you can deliver the message and you can sell the product. Am I correct?
Yeah. Now here's the problem with pest control. I sold 900 accounts because of the company I worked with. Service ratio was not as amazing. So I serviced about 715 of them. That was my rookie year getting the pest control, earns about $350,000. Now, I was motivated to do that, right? But what lacked was the passion. And what happens when you're a skilled salesperson lacking passion is the integrity eats away at your soul. And eventually you're going to find looking for something else, or you're going to be escaping reality, just like a 9-to-5 person that hates their job, hates their boss. They're escaping through video games, shows, drugs, whatever, right? Alcohol. Yeah. And so I found myself in that kind of situation. And my escape was trying to innovate, create my new business, in expanding my pest control company to an everything service company. And so it didn't satisfy my needs. And so for me, those big three, Troy, are a skill set. You got to be good at what you do. You got to have the passion, and there's got to be a big opportunity. If we're good at selling and we're very passionate about selling something, and like, let's say it's newspaper ads, dude, that ain't a good opportunity, right? Social media and marketing will beat that. So if you can align all three, you'll be happy, successful, and fulfilled. And so
I love that. That's good. I'm just asking because I don't know, is pest control more of a recurring revenue?
Yes, that's the beauty of pest. Yep.
Okay. And then, so it's a whole different ballgame, right? It's a different model together.
Yep. Yeah, it's residual. Okay. Yep.
That's good. I'm going to ask you. Yeah, that's all good stuff. What are some of the questions you have for me?
Dude, I've got lots. So I want to talk to you about your sales records, training, recruiting, transitioning from them. So let's, one thing I want to hit on right off the bat with you, Troy, is we've both done very well in selling. Like, you've made millions selling solar, yeah?
Correct. Yeah.
What I've noticed, my biggest thing I worry about is my time, right? And I know every top salesperson and business person thinks this way. But for you, I've noticed there's a desire for all of us to go out and recruit and to replace ourselves. But what I've noticed with solar is if you do that with the wrong people, you could be making $1 million a year as one of the top salesperson. But if you start pulling on too many people, you don't have the right systems, you got the wrong people, your time is strapped or allocated to training those people, and then you produce less. This is what I've seen with myself and other people. And so I think there's this double-edged sword in the solar industry of, okay, do I just sell or do I recruit? Because everyone has this, facade of this holy grail of recruiting and everything door to door. Recruit. The reality is with two guys, you can make over $1 million. Pretty, if you're doing well, and easily $500,000, right? If you got the systems.
Yes.
So most guys recruiting aren't making that much in overrides. Most aren't. There are some that are. And so what is your, like, first of all, do you split those two equally, like 50-50? Do you focus on just selling? What's your take on that?
You're right. So I learned all these lessons through failure. I mean, you can go out there and you can recruit and you could duplicate yourself, but what's going to happen to most people is they take the foot off the gas, right?
Yeah.
By leading by example, by always being out in the field and me always being a producer, that opens so many more opportunities. The doors just fly open. What I mean by that is if you're leading by example, it's easier to duplicate success.
Yeah.
People want to follow your footsteps and they want to grab onto your coattails and follow. So I've always learned by me not taking my foot off the gas, by not just recruiting, things will happen as long as I stay in the field. As long as I stay connected and I'm in the trenches, people will gravitate towards me and they'll want to be a part of my team. And by leading by example, they're going to duplicate everything that you're doing. So I've learned that just by failure, just because of, I've been doing this for so long. Every time I tried to take myself out of the field, sales just dropped. It was like a solar coaster, what we call, ups and downs. And then the problem is you start putting all your, you're building culture and you're putting your soul into this team only for somebody to get pissed off and leave, right? And now you had a lot of eggs in their basket and now you're constantly rebuilding. So learning from that and being able to pivot, staying in the field and always, not relying on anybody else but myself, and everything else was the cherry on top. Treating everything like that, I became much more successful.
I love that because, with recruiting, you're kind of chasing, the success, you're chasing reps. But that methodology right there, you attract it, right? Which is organic, it sticks. And even if crap hits the fan, you've got sales rolling in.
Yeah, and that's true. And I have I have a blueprint. I know that if I just go out there and if I do my, 40 hours a week and I have a process, it just works. If you can keep your, your cost of acquisition to about under 20 cents, you're going to be very, very successful, whatever you do. But the whole idea is to have a 3-prong attack for just you. So what I mean by that is you're out there knocking on doors, you're out there doing your thing, your gig, however you do it, whatever your methodology is, as long as you have 2 or 3 other prongs, I call it a fork. So you got to have 2 or 3 other processes that work for you. You got to have them in the works. And so I would go out there and put, all the local home magazines. I put all the ads out there. I believe big time in direct mail. I believe in postcards. I believe in all of this stuff. And once I find a good source and I'm tracking it, if my cost of acquisition is under 20 cents, I double down. And then if I can keep it down, I triple, right? That's keeping me in front of 3 or 4 people every single day. So if I have a bad day knocking and I scored twice on postcards, or I scored twice on letters, or if I scored, my team got 2 or 3, right? I'm always successful. So the whole idea is you just want to make sure that you have a 3 or 4 prong attack that's always working for you, and don't give up on that. I mean, when you commit to another source, you got to make sure that you're committing 90 days to 120 days, 3 to 6 months before you give up on it, because it might take time to build that traction so that you can actually see if it's working or not. Because a lot of people, they try stuff and they throw money at it and they're expecting instant results, and that's not realistic. It doesn't happen like that. So it's, most of the time it takes somebody 2 or 3 times to hear something before it, oh, wow, boom, the light bulb goes off. I am interested in this. And all that stuff that you hand out, a lot of people think it's garbage, but it's not. There's a shelf life on there. So, if you could get that inside the house and inside the drawer, the kitchen counter or whatever, you're staying in front of people. That's the idea, is how many times can you get somebody to see you, right? And the more tables that you get to, the more successful you're going to be. And I learned that just from being out in the field 8 hours a day, every day, knowing that, okay, how do I double down? How do I triple down? And then just figuring out all these methods.
Troy, I'm always fascinated with overachievers, high achievers in every field, especially ours, and those who are pushing beyond what, just being a top performer in our industry and going above that. Tell me about your schedule.
It's not that bad. It's a lot of people think, how the hell do you do all these numbers?
Tell them what the numbers are real quick. Quick summary.
If I don't do 2 megawatts a year myself, just personally, I underachieved. Okay. It's really possible for somebody to do that. It's possible. I mean, I proved it last August. I said, okay, last July, I said, I had a team of 4 or 5. And we went out and we did 550 kilowatts in July. And then we did 750 in August. That's me going in the house, writing up 750 kilowatts. 150 fell out. We ended up installing 615. So what I'm saying is it was more of a pilot, right? Because I was it was the closer setter model. And that works. I mean, for somebody that just wants to run and be in front of somebody and doesn't want to, a lot of people are afraid to roll the dice. They don't want to spend money on marketing or advertising. I believe in it. But if you have some good setters and you pay them well and you give them enough compensation where they don't want to close and they're happy being a setter, and if they're making great money doing that, because some people are horrible at closing, but they're excellent setters, right? And if you could keep them happy and make them feel part of your culture and feel really good about what they're doing, they'll go out there and set some solid appointments for you, right? And my setters don't set garbage, because it's not going to benefit them. It's not going to benefit me. So I do believe in paying them a salary. I encourage them to move to commission.
How much do you, break that down, starting out.
So, as you and I both know, that when somebody comes into solar, it's a slow game at first. They don't get paid right away. We don't get paid commissions because the job takes, 8 weeks to get paid, right? So they're scared. They're trying to, take care of their family. It's very difficult going without a check every single week. So I start them out at $75,000 a year. So they're getting $1,500 a week, but they're expected to perform.
What's the KPI requirement for that?
To be like, I'm different. I don't want experienced solar guys. I don't want them. I want somebody that's I want somebody that's coachable. I want somebody with a great personality, and I want somebody that knows how to make a friend at the door, right? Wow. Somebody that has good energy about them, that's coachable, is very, very important.
Add value to that. If you're the one to rear them up and help them discover the talent, they're loyal to you, and just the relationship is so much smoother.
100%. So I'll grab those people and I'll say, hey, listen, nobody gets a free ride here, but I'm going to start you out at $75,000 a year. You're going to go. And my goal is to have you on full commission within a month or 2 months when you feel comfortable. But I'm going to show you why you want to move, right? So we track their success and we put them on a 3-month plan, and they're able to see that, hey, okay, you made $6,000 over the last month, but if you would have been on commission, you would have made 10. Okay. Yeah. And so after they see that 2 or 3 times, they're like, hey, I'm ready to go to commission. So that somebody that doesn't want to go to commission and they're still doing well, I don't mind that. But you don't want somebody and it's kind of funny, because when they come off of commission, or when they come off a salary and they go to commission, it's kind of funny because all of a sudden they're tracking down all their old leads that that didn't sell, or that they didn't get appointments. It's like they had no incentive when they were on salary to go after those. But now that they're on commission, you see all these old leads surfacing that they're following up on, and they're trying to get closed. But it's a different mentality. You know that, I know that. You got to take people out of their comfort zone, and they got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the key.
I love that, Trey. Yeah. Okay, so breaking down your schedule, summarizing, do you work every single day selling? Do you run appointments every day?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So no days off. Do you have like a section of time where you've blocked off to do other things like social media or just business meetings, or is it always priority, schedule anytime on my calendar, book appointments?
Yes. So I have a backup we have a backup closer, and actually 2 of them. So there's one that backs me up, and then we have another one that is good. And if I can't make the appointment, they go. So I'm always priority. And if I can't, the night before, we put all the calendar. They can see the calendar at a glance. And if I can't make them, we're filling them into the other 2 closers, and they're running them. But yeah, I'm out there Monday through Saturday. I never work Sunday because that's family day. I stay with my family. We go to the ball game. We do whatever. But, and I do take days off. I used to not, but I do now. And I have a lot of solar soldiers out there. What I mean by that is I preach this. Everybody that I run into, everybody that I meet, I look at that differently. I feel that that's another soldier for me in the field. When somebody's talking about solar at work, or somebody's talking about solar in the neighborhood or at the ball field, I want them to think of me. I always hand out my business cards. I give everybody 2 or 3 business cards, and I say, hey, word of mouth is huge in this industry. Yeah. If somebody's thinking about solar, please remember me. And I compensate very well. I compensate $1,000 every referral. So
you're a little bit more aggressive than some.
Oh yeah, and I pay it right away. And the reason why is because the faster you pay that referral, the more you're gonna just fly in. Yeah. So like I just went on vacation to Africa, and it was a beautiful vacation for 2 weeks. And when you come out of the field, it takes a while to get yourself back into that work mode, right? And while I was gone, I've been in this industry for a while now. Believe it or not, I got 12 sales within 7 days of getting back. It was 160, 170 kilowatts, and they were all referrals because I didn't have a chance.
Oh, they were just stacking them up while you're gone?
They just stacked up. While I was gone, I just kept emailing and texting everybody. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm coming home on this day. So within 6 days of being home, I already had 170 kilowatts. So it was like I never missed a beat. But that's the key. The key is staying busy, staying in control of your time, and having that mental mindset that, hey, family first, but Monday through Saturday, I'm working, right? What's that?
You set the expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, and if your team, make sure that you're meeting with your team every week, right? So that they see you, because if you lose contact with your team, they're not going to be successful. They're going to fade away, especially when people are on commission. They try to hide, right? Especially if their sales are down, they want to be in the shadows. They don't, they don't show up for meetings. You got to make sure that you have mandatory meetings. Everybody shows up and everybody is held accountable. So building that culture is very, very important for whoever you're around. You all got to have the same mindset. And I've always done a good job of that. You're bringing up my schedule, but I always stay around like-minded people. What I mean by that is I can't be around negative Nancys. They kill me.
No,
I think what changed for me, Nick, honestly, is stop feeling sorry for myself. Years ago, why me? I was always, why me? Why did this go bad? Why am I not having the success others are? Why am I not able to take care of my family the way others do? Why did they get that special treatment? Why didn't I get this? And then somebody told me, hey, you need to stop worrying about what everybody else does. You're wasting so much energy and so much hatred on all of this negative, energy, and you're passing that along, and it's a cancer. And they were so right. I looked in the mirror. I did not like what I saw. And as soon as I started focusing and being everybody's biggest cheerleader and rooting for everybody's success and stopped worrying about what anybody else was doing but myself, my whole life changed. And so you and I, what I'm talking about. There's people out there that just hate everybody and think that their life is miserable. Well, you're the guy that's in charge of that, right?
Yeah.
You have the power to change it.
Yeah. I went through divorce about 1.5 years ago, and going from a victim to a victor, it was everything for me. Going from making excuses to taking extreme ownership of everything. When everything is my fault, then I start taking action to solve it. But when I start blaming other people, nothing gets done and you stay in this hole. And, talking about energy, you mentioned that, Troy. Enthusiasm is what is a big thing that sells it. Enthusiasm and confidence are arguably the most influential traits, I believe. And the problem I have with, I will not hire on any salesperson. I don't know if you're the same way, but if they have to be interviewed, and I have to look at their stats, their history, and their character, their work ethic, and their attitude, because we know it will spill over on everybody. And even if we bring on a guy that adds 1 deal a month, or even heck, if he's doing 3 deals a month, right? This is kind of an average Joe, and he's negative or he's always complaining, it's not worth it. He's going to pull down the whole team, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you protect your time.
Yeah, see, and I treasure my time, right? I really do. I mean, we do what we do, right? So that we do have time. We do what we want when we want. That is what is so important for me. So yes, I used to work 60, 70 hours a week, and I'm going to be honest, I probably average about 40 hours a week now, 40, 45. A lot of people think I work
at the same volume, are you not? Or close to it?
Easily.
That's
right. Because I learned how to manage my time. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is I do work 8 hours a day. And if my mind is not, if I'm not doing something for the business, a lot of times I am mentally thinking about the business. So, and that's time consuming too. And that's the biggest problem with me, honestly, is I want to be present when I'm with my family. And so many times we're not, and you know that. And I don't like that. I feel like I'm not giving my family that time with me emotionally, right? I want to be there with them, and they're, this most important thing that's why we do what we do. And so 100% what you said. So about 40 hours a week to answer your question. And it's about an 8-hour day. I wake up, and I like what you said. I know I keep jumping around, but I like what you said. You talked about energy, and energy comes from waking up in the morning, and you said stimulants aren't there, but get exercise, find things that you believe in, things that you love to feed off that energy. And I'm a big believer in that. So what you just said, you said eat right, exercise, and I'm now getting into that big exercise mode, so I feel great. But 40 hours a week.
That's amazing. I love it. And just, continue the conversation on the exercise. I can't tell you, everybody that doesn't do it or doesn't take the time to diet, it's a lack of discipline. And the beauty of discipline, I relate the weakness that salespeople have with rejection and taking it personally to a lack of discipline or a lack of pain in their life, right? And doing hard things calluses your mind for difficult things. And so getting told no 50 times a day is nothing in comparison to the harder things you're doing. And you don't have to have your life turned upside down on you. If you're lucky enough and God does that to you, you're blessed. Great. And you're going to have a lot of character and a lot of growth from that. If it doesn't, don't just wait around for it to crash before you got to reset your life and go hard. You can discipline yourself by getting up earlier, hitting the gym. That's been the big thing for me, was the limiting belief thinking, I don't have time to do this. My biggest one before I got mentored by Chris Crone was there's not enough time for my family, my business goals, and my health. And until I met a man that literally had all of it. And like Tony Robbins level, but better, right? And he's worth $450 million. I'm seeing that guy is 43 years old, has over 100 companies he has equity in, and he's jacked as hell, and he has a phenomenal relationship with his family. I thought all those limiting beliefs that I have to work 60 hours a week just got shattered. And that was so empowering. And what happened after I had just made $250,000 the month prior before this. The month after, I donated a lot of that money to his charity, and that got me more proximity. But just having that mindset and being around those people fuels you to take bigger action and sell more. And this kind of circles all around where investing in you, right? If you want to make more as a salesperson, work harder on you than you do on your job. Do not follow the myths of working more hours. I'm not saying work 10 hours a week. There's no secret. You got to work hard, but it's not just in the time of the job. You got to work hard on your relationships. You got to work hard on your health. And
but it took me a while to figure that out, Nick. I always believed in all the philosophy you got to put in, my parents instilled in me was, you got to work hard. You got to work hard. You got to work all these hours. You got to grind. It's got to be an all day thing. And that's the way we're taught. That's what we're told. In order to make a great living and be successful, you got to put everything into it. And then what happens is all your relationships suffer, right? You suffer, your health suffers, everything around you suffers. And so you're right. Invest in yourself, not just, monetary, like you said, but physically, mentally, emotionally. You got to take care of yourself. You got to be right in the mind, especially in this industry, especially in what we do, sales. I mean, you got to have a great mindset to go out and be able to do what we do to be successful.
Yeah, to carry that much enthusiasm through all the rejection and just pitching people and then them thinking about it or just wasting your time, you got to be invested in yourself, because if your cup isn't filled, I always say you can't fill other people's cups, aka you can't sell, right? Selling is, you got to be able to have the emotional bandwidth to listen to people, invest in them, right? And so you got to fill your cup first.
Yeah. So what do you think? I'm in a very saturated market right now, right? Arizona, we got so many people selling solar out here, and I see so much talent come in, right? I mean, I see these young guys come in. If I would have knew, if this solar industry would have been here when I was younger, buddy, oh my gosh. I mean, I see 21-year-olds coming in. You're young. How old are you?
30.
You're 30?
Yeah.
That's it? 30? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. If solar would have been here when I was 30, wow. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I see so many of these guys coming in. They have all the talent in the world. What I mean by talent is what I'm looking for. They have skill sets. They're coachable, great personalities, ethic, character, right? Somebody that I want to work with. And I see so many of them, and I say, that's a needle in the haystack right there. That guy's going to kill it. And then they hit the eject button quickly within 6-8 weeks. They're gone, right?
Yeah.
It kills me because what happens is they're being recruited by these companies, and they're being recruited into solar, and they're being told they can make $1 million. They're going to have this instant success, and they want to see it instantly overnight. And it's so unrealistic. Wouldn't you agree that is a big problem with this industry in retaining the talent?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, the grass is greener is a massive problem. In the green solar industry, the grass is greener mentality kills it.
Yeah, I see that all the time. And it's just, you put a lot of training into people. I just see our company. That's why I kind of changed my mindset when I bring somebody in. I sit them down and I say, hey, how much are you making right now? What kind of bills do you have? What's your financial situation? And I ask them these questions so that I know what they have to do so that they don't hit that button, right? I don't want to put all this time and energy into somebody that's going to flee and be gone within a month, right? So I ask them all these questions, and I think that's the right approach. And so you'll find that most people, what happens is our perspective changes, you and I. What we think is a lot of money, or what we think is a little bit of money, is different on both standards. So somebody comes in and you're thinking, oh, they're used to making $100,000, and they tell you 50 or 60. I mean, I don't even know how people can live on that kind of salary. But what I'm saying is that in the solar industry, you should be able to do that every other month, right? So that's what I'm saying. So I love when they come in and they say, okay, they're making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year right now. And now I could put them on a schedule. I could put them on a program to make sure that they're hitting those goals, so they know that they can take care of their family. Because if they miss a paycheck, or if they feel in fear that, hey, this isn't working, that they're going to flee. And that's the biggest problem in this industry. And so, when you recruit somebody, I think you got to try, the goal's got to be to get them to $100,000 a year. I think that's the magic number for a lot of people. And if somebody's already making $100,000, you can usually tell in the mentality when you interview somebody. If somebody's making $100,000 to $150,000, $200,000 a year, you can usually tell by just speaking with them, because a lot of times they're not going to give you the real number, but you could tell, you and I could tell. I can find that they're more mature, and that guy is going to be easier to get over the 500,000 mark, right? But I think, and then if somebody achieves that 100,000 that first year, by year 2, they should be able to hit 250, 300,000 in solar, right? Absolutely. If you're working 35 to 40 hours a week, and now you're on your way. I never use that $1 million word. I think it's used too much, because you and I both know it's a needle in the haystack that you're looking for. And it takes, there's rare individuals out there that can go out there and you can hand the blueprint to, and they'll follow it, right?
Yeah. Well, Troy, I think one of the problems is, you hit the nail on the head, where just toting with those numbers of 500,000, a million. The problem with the industry is there are people that do that. And so we believe it's possible. When I went out and did 900 accounts my rookie year, people are like, you made $250,000 as a rookie. Well, then Nick, you're not too smart. I mean, and I'd play with, I'm like, well, you're right. So I can do that too. Every time I did that, they thought, oh, if he did 900, I sure as hell can do 500. What would happen, Troy? Guess what would happen? You probably already know.
No, I don't. What?
They would do less than 200 most of the time. And what I've noticed, there's this correlation between expectations and goals. When the goal is too high and the expectation is too high, people usually crumble because they get hard on themselves. When the goal is high but the expectation is low, for example, let's shoot to get to a $500,000, but the expectation is, dude, you're gonna make 60K. Let's hit that. Let's be grateful. Hit the freaking 60K. Don't go from that to 400K. There's so many people that just shoot way too high and then they have the momentum to get there, but because we're not performing at this unrealistic expectation, they start getting hard on themselves, right? And so I have trained a lot of top salespeople, and the secret, just mediocre salespeople, and turn them into phenomenal people, and high earning sales reps, by just lowering the expectation. That's it.
You're right. Mini wins. Am I correct? Mini wins. You got to have those mini wins so that you can get to the big win. And I truly believe that so many people put this astronomical goal in their head that's not going to be really achievable. And you're setting yourself up for failure. And I hate seeing that. And I learned that the hard way, right? Always try to overproduce. I always set myself a goal that is acceptable, right? And then so that I know that I'll knock that out, and then I feel really good inside. I say, okay, I accomplished something, set it a little bit higher. You keep getting a new ceiling, but what happens if you start out with too high of a ceiling, you're never going to hit those expectations. You're going to crumble, like you said.
You'll fizzle out, you'll jump companies, you'll quit. Whenever I talk to a guy from another company and he's talking to shade on why he didn't hit his goals, I'm seeing red flags everywhere. I start calling it out. And so
blame it on everybody but themselves.
Exactly. It's the biggest red flag for me. Okay. I want to pick your brain. You're probably the best person in the United States to pick your brain on selling in a saturated market at a peak level. I mean, I've been in Arizona and it kicked my ass, Troy. I'm not going to lie. I do 30 deals a month out here in Utah because I figured it out. And so there's things about just staying planted in your area, growing roots there. You have mastered that. But give us some of the expert insight on selling in a highly saturated area or market.
Well, you need to, honestly, I welcome a saturated market. I preach that because the more saturated a market is, the more the awareness, the more people are going solar, right? So the awareness is there. I'm not planting the seed. Somebody already planted it for me. So a good sales rep that comes into a saturated market, if you flip the script, it's actually in your benefit. You're the one who's going to thrive, right? Because a guy that has high skills and that knows how to relate to people and make a friend, you're not planting the seed now. People are out there, they're planting the seed every day. They've already heard it 1, 2, 3 times. And now you're coming in, it's already set up for you and you're just swiping it, right? So a saturated market, I do thrive in, and I think it is because of the awareness, and everybody's already going solar. Face it, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is here in Arizona. It's everybody selling solar. And it used to frustrate me, but it doesn't anymore. I actually welcome it. And a new rep that comes into a saturated market, one that's not as skilled, or one that's not fearless, somebody that's very timid and is afraid to ask for the sale, they're going to struggle here. And that's why I think that I see so many people hitting the ejection button, because a lot of times people are coming and they're knocking on the door, like, and I know. I remember when I was new and I would go knock on this door and the guy said, yeah, you're my guy. I'm going to go solar with you. And then I'm going to call you and you go pitch them and you do all the work. So you create the opportunity, you create the proposal, you pitch them, you've done everything. The guy hasn't signed with you. You show up a week later or 2 weeks later and he's got panels on his roof. You're like, what happened, right? Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that happened to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I just got to get better. And I'm telling you, you should do very well in a saturated market. You just got to flip the script, let everybody else set up the customer, because a lot of people, they say solar is you should always close in one stop. You keep hearing people say the one-time close. No, solar's not that way. You and I both know that. I'd say 50% of my deals close on the first appointment. I would say the other 50% are on the second or third touch. And you can't be afraid to go back. And so many people say, I'm going to empty the clip right now. Well, that's just, as soon as you walk out, as soon as you empty the clip and you walk out, they're canceling.
They're canceling. So good for you. You got the deal, but dude, like 70%.
Nobody's getting paid. All right. We get paid if the glass hits the roof. And so all these people, they have all these numbers, and I'm actually seeing it. I mean, these guys brag about these numbers, and I see them. I was in and out of a house. We're all in this thread, this sales thread, and I was in and out of the house. I made $10,000 in 45 minutes. Yeah, and I'm thinking in my head, that guy's canceling right now. While you're sitting here texting this to us, that guy's on the phone. He's canceling. He's going with the next guy, right? And you and I both know that. So that customer's got to believe in you. You did not have a solid foundation in 45 minutes. You did not educate that customer. You did not make a friend. There's no way you did. My average appointment's 2.5 hours. I don't know about you. It's about 2 to 2.5 hours, right?
I love it.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, and I don't mind doing a 2 or 3 touch. I'm not, I'll push, I'll ask for the sale. I'm fearless. But if somebody tells me no 3 times, on the third time, I'm rescheduling. I'm saying, okay, I'm coming back. I'll be back here on Thursday. Does that sound good? And we'll address all your concerns, your questions, and just try to reset. Now, by resetting that appointment, if they cancel before you get there, you're probably never going to get back in the house. You and I both know that, right? They decided not to go. But if that appointment sticks and you get back in the house, it's closing, right?
Exactly.
So, I don't mind going back. I know the Michael Donalds say, hey, no, it's one sit, one close. Well, that's not me. That doesn't fit my personality.
I'm the same way. And here's the thing. I remember watching this video with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, and Grant Cardone. And Cardone got on his high horse saying, I close everybody. He's proud of selling everybody. And I think that's the dumbest thing ever, because a good salesperson, it doesn't matter how good you are. You cannot and should not sell everybody. And so your sales success metric should not be on how many deals are you closing, how fast are you closing them, and was it a one sit? That's not something you should flex, or contract value. It's not a flex. What is a flex is how many people are in your pipeline, because I am not afraid to schedule a second or third appointment, because I could care less. I got 10 other people I'm meeting with in the next couple of days, because me and my team are working our butts out. We figured out a system to create tons of leads. And so not having the scarcity mindset actually increases not just increase my retention, but it increases my close rate too. And it's more organic and natural.
You just hit the nail on the head. And a lot of people don't understand that. They go into these appointments and they act like they're never going to get in another house. They act like this appointment, they have everything weighing on the close of this appointment that they're in.
Yep.
And with the right mindset, what you just said, when you have an abundance of appointments and you know how to create the opportunity, your mindset is different. When I go into a house, I have zero expectations. If I have 3 appointments this day, right? I wake up in the morning, I see 3 appointments on my calendar. My mentality is I'm going to introduce myself to 3 people today, and I'm going to educate them on the benefits of solar. I'm going to go make friends with 3 people, right? And I have no expectations. When I go into a house, I am best when I don't care whether or not I close the deal. When I go in with a nonchalant, happy attitude, just to be there, to have the opportunity, that's when I'm my sharpest. And that's when I always walk out with a victory, with a close, with a win, right?
The irony of not focusing on the closing and you're not desperate. It's natural confidence, and it wins people over.
What you just said is so much true. Somebody going in desperate and really pushing the envelope. I swear, I am 50% solar when I'm in the house, and I'm 50% getting to know that customer, finding out what makes them tick, finding out where they're from, because I generally like that. I'm weird. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody has a story, and I can't tell you how many times I'm at a kitchen counter and I'm just talking to, somebody over the table, and I'm just fascinated at the life that they lived or what they've been through. Everybody's from somewhere. Everybody's, been through some kind of storm or is entering some kind of storm or just got out of a storm. I truly believe that. And when somebody gives you, when you give somebody the confidence where they can talk to you about that and be personable, they're going to believe in you and they're going to go with you over somebody else, when they decide to go solar.
You got the flip side. I love that, Troy.
Yeah.
You mentioned on saturated market, like a lot of deals are left on the table, and the benefit of being in a saturated market is that you can just go kind of scoop those up. Do you believe the reason a lot of people are pitched and don't close, what do you think is the top reason? Is it they are lacking a friend? Is it the trust thing? Because from my experience, it's like they usually have solar on their home one way or another in a month or two. It's just, did they do it from you or someone else, right?
I honestly, I think it's because they're afraid to ask for the sale. It takes a seasoned sales guy. We're not talking about a small ticket item. These solar systems we're selling, it's $50, $60, $70, $80,000, right? And you got to make that, you got to show the value, right? A lot of people are pitching savings and there's not savings. The savings are down the road.
You don't buy a mortgage to save money.
Right. You got to show them value. Why are they making this decision and why this decision is best for them, right? And if you haven't done that, you're walking out without a sale. And I think that people are going in there and they're selling fake savings, right? Because there is no savings. Let's just be honest. People are not going solar to save $30. That's a trip to Applebee's for lunch, right?
Yeah.
That's not why they're going solar for the next 25 years or for as long as they live in that home. And you got to paint that picture. And a lot of these guys are afraid to ask for the sale. I assume the sale. When we're done, I'm moving forward, right? Until they stop me. And when I say who's first on the home or who has the best credit, they know what you're doing. And anything other than, hey, stop, or, is a green light. If they answer any of these questions, they're just giving you permission to keep moving forward. So I just automatically assume the sale that I am the solution. And more than not, do they just move forward? And if they do have a couple of objections, that's when they're going to come out. Yeah.
And you want it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Saturated market, to answer your question, yeah, you would thrive in a saturated market. And a lot of people in Phoenix, if you look, the people that do the best are the ones that have been around the longest. And I don't think it's because they do a much better job. I think it's because they're fearless. And what I mean by that is they're in front of, they're well seasoned. They've been in front of people, thousands and thousands of appointments ran, and they have an abundance of appointments. When you have an abundance of appointments and opportunities, and you treat them, you're going to treat them differently.
Agreed. Troy, quick question for you. So every time I go into a deal, I always say that the sale's made within the first 5 minutes. And I usually have a good idea within the first 5 minutes. And like I said, I lay down the law. And what is your perspective on getting in? What's your process in the first 5-10 minutes of a deal? Do you focus on building rapport? Do you give them kind of a layout of here's what we're here to do? Here's why you might not qualify.
Yep. So when I get to a house, I go to the house, I get the panel picks, right? Because it's a live appointment. I get the panel picks, I get them off to the team, I go in, and before I start anything, I get the usage, right? And then I send that off to the team. They're creating the proposal for me, right? So I know in the next 15, 20 minutes, it's showing up in my email. That gives me time now to just relax, get to know the customer. When I'm sitting down, I'm trying to find out who they are, where they're from. And one of the big things is, why am I here? What happened? What made you look into solar? That is such an important question. And people don't ask that. Why am I here? What prompted you to take this meeting today? Yeah. What made you reach out to me? Right? Yeah. Because it could be any reason, but at least now you know how to approach this whole appointment. Now you know what, makes them tick, right? Yeah. How many times do we go into an appointment and we don't ask that question? That is the number one question. So after the meet and greet, and after you get to know them a little bit, hey, what made you call me here today? Why am I here? Well, what happened? How'd you hear about solar? What prompted you to start looking into it, right? How they answer that question is going to take me off, it's going to take me off in that direction. And I'll know how to approach it, because too much information doesn't help them. A lot of people go in and they just want to get everything they know about solar out. No, don't do that. Have a conversation. Have a conversation. Stick to the bullet points. What interests them? Ask them why you're there. And now, it's good to know all the objections. It's good to have all that data. It's good to be able to answer all those questions. But, you can talk yourself right out of a sale, and you know it.
Absolutely. I've done that multiple times. And I've also noticed a common theme when they're the ones asking me too many questions. You think, hey, by being super transparent, answering every question, you're actually digging yourself a hole, from my experience, because they're running the show. And then that's going to turn into, well, I need to think about it. Where if you're the one kind of guiding the conversation, of here's what we should be, here's the next thing, and bringing up objections, I've noticed that's a smoother way to kind of transition into the close.
You're 100% right, and you're building trust and that customer, because you're upfront about everything, and they're going to buy into you, and they're going to see that this is the right thing for me and my family, and they're going to pull the trigger. So, and they're not going to feel like you're not going to come across as a shady salesman, right? And you have their interests at heart, and I think that's what I want most of all, is my customers to know that I genuinely do care. I want this to be the right product for you. I'm in the industry. I do this to help people, right? And not only that, but it's a great living. You and I both know it. I love solar. I love what I do. I have a passion for it, and I feel that I'm pretty good at it. And so are you. I know that. So you got to love what you're doing. You got to have a passion for it. And Nick, I want to say it's been a pleasure talking with you. You've been with me for an hour, and I thank you for your time, because I know that you're a very busy guy. And I'm going to keep following you, keep throwing out that great content. And please do me a favor. Keep me posted on what you're doing.
Absolutely. We'll stay in touch, Troy.
Have a good one.
You too. Take it easy.